Hey, I'm in the back garden here. This is Dan with Sprouts, Greens, and More. What I'm going to talk about is making your garden more self-friendly. So, when I first started doing things, and I'm going to show you guys in my garden, things that just over time as you get older too, like you try to get into your garden, it's just more difficult. I think if you stretch and everything, I have trouble bending over, and then when I'm hurt, it's definitely an issue when I'm walking down the row that is 10 inches wide or even 12 inches. And I'm going to show you this bed, and I'm actually going to just put one of the old cinder blocks next to it and show you what I was talking about. So let me turn this around and show you. So the old cinder block, and I don't know if you can see it right there. I'm going to try to lighten this up a little bit. So that's where the old one was, and this was the width of the bed, which my foot's about 11 inches. And so when I was walking through here, it's just so tight. And you know, and then when you're sitting on the bed, look, you can see like you're just crouched up, and it's really bad. And then you can see where the old block is, and I'm moving that out, and I'm making this wider for the rake. And so this one over here is the same way. I mean, it's a little bit wider, but it could be a little bit more for the rake. Because when you're trying to get in here with the wide rake, it won't even fit. And it makes it really tough. Let me grab the rake. I mean, this one's not too bad, but you can see, like, it's a little wider than the rake. The rake is wider than the bed. So when you're raking, it makes it really tough. Yeah, you can buy the smaller rakes and rake it out, but most of the time we have standard rakes. And then I was looking at is over here, I've actually got this wider than it needs to be, so I could actually move that over and make this even wider. But that's a lot of work because it's all established. So the other thing on my garden was I built this gate to keep my dog out of these raised beds when I'm not around. What was happening, the gate wasn't swinging outward. So when I'd come through here with the cart, it was all messed up. Like it would hit right here. So what I did was I took the rototiller, and you can see it's still not quite straight. And then I put this compost pile here, and this definitely needs to be moved. And all this is coming out. All this, I'm going to get rid of my chickens and keep them in this pen, and then they're all coming out. And I do have a little rototiller. I try not to rototill anything. I think it disturbs the mycorrhizas in the microbiology in the soil, and it's a bad thing when you're rototilling. That's why I have raised beds, and I try to grow as organically as possible. I mean, even the cars coming by, in my opinion, a car coming by polluting your garden isn't really organic, but there's nothing you can do about that. So, and you can see on this one, like, this is great. Like, I can sit down, and I have lots of room between here, and it's just great. So I just wanted to go over that. And then the other thing is the cement. Like this right here, this all needs to be cemented, the tops. I had this great idea where I'd use cinder blocks and then grow in the holes. But what it does is it creates more weeds. And so that's another thing that's not garden friendly. And then the other thing is, if you look at the ground here, it's really uneven. And like you can see like the bound here, and it just, you want to stay on top of the garden. And that's why I have the little rototiller, so I can take the high spots out when the ground changes, and I can be leveling it out and then keeping my garden in good shape, because you can see like there's a little hole right here, you know, and there's holes where my dog digs. And then what I did on the roads in here is I actually put the pavers in here. And this is a great way, is to put pavers. I have gopher over on this one over here, so the blocks kind of shifted a little bit because they had holes, but I definitely did these right. I put plastic under them, and you can put plastic or weed barrier. And the reason why I'm talking is sometimes I do things in my garden, and then a year later I'm looking at it going, man, I need to change this out. And here's another area. I put this water in here, and really back here I need a rack. I need some kind of shelf on this wall, or a rack even, like a baker's rack just sitting here. But the problem is I have my Grow-X, which is a water filter, right here. And then it feeds all my stuff. So I mean, this area is kind of occupied. I guess I could put the rack over it and try to position it. And then this timer, I hate this orbit timer because I'm never good on what's going on with it. Like when you set it, it's hard to set. And then I think this timer's actually out. I think one of the ABC, I think one of the watering times doesn't even work on it. So at the farm, I had a timer. Let me see if I can find it. Hey, quit digging. That's the other thing. You see, he's digging. Hey, quit digging. And what he's doing is he's chasing that gopher. There's a gopher probably in there. And so he's chasing it. So when I was doing the farm, I did this rainbird one, and it's really dirty, but I'm still going to show you guys. And I did the rainbird one, and it was really cool. Like when I hooked this thing up, like it's really good. It's just so simple to set the way it's. So you got to kind of look at things when you're buying them to do on your garden or your farm or whatever, your grow co-op or whatever. And you want to do things that are easy. This rainbird timer is super easy to set. Let me see if I can blow it off. So when you set it, you can set it for 2 times, and that's the limited. I think it's 2 or 3 times, and then you're limited on the other settings though. Like when you want to set the other times, it just runs 3 times. You can't set each time for different settings. So it's going to run 3 times a day or twice a day. So that was the thing with that rainbird. But I'm going to change that timer out because I want this summer, I want my garden more friendly for me. And so a lot of this irrigation, if I can afford it, this is all 1/2 inch. It's all coming, like I'm changing. Another thing to make it more friendly for me is to change all these drip heads, because these are Home Cheapo and they suck. I mean, they just totally suck because there's no way to clean them. So I still have a lot of them, but if you look at this one, these are really cool because when you pull these out on the back, you can actually take them apart and then clean the little manifold out, and then your thing is really good. And by the way, this is a garlic bed, and look at my garlic growing better than Johnny's seed garlic, way better. So always do your own seed. And then these were some raised that I just threw together, and I should have took my time and sealed them and done it right, because now I've created more work. But these are all going to go cement. Like I've decided that the cinder block is cool, and I'm going to do these all in cinder block. So another thing is I put wood on the fence line because for privacy, for my neighbors, from me, and from me for my neighbors, because I got my dog and I'm always out, and then I don't know, sometimes I feel like they think I'm spying on them, which I'm not. I'm just in my garden. So anyway, I'm doing the trellis because I was using the fence as the trellis at one time, and now I'm not. And I've decided to do a top rail on it, and I'm going to leave it to where I can attach it and go all the way down if I want. But this summer, I'm going to do all the sunchokes over here. So when you're planting things, and my garden's changing all the time, I try not to plant the same crops in the same beds too many years in a row. I try to alternate and stagger the crops, and that's another thing, making your garden more friendly. And I try to make it more friendly for him too. Like, he's really scared to go between things, so when things are too narrow, he freaks out, and then he walks on the raised beds. My thought on this one was I was going to build this and have more room in here, and I made this 5.5 feet, and I'm going to change it. So I'm going to make the row wider and the bed narrower, because to be honest, when you're doing the bed, when it's 5 feet, I mean, and I need to probably, when it's 5 feet, you can't stretch across the bed, it's too wide. So that's what we're going to do there, and I'm going to change this. Now this row's fine, and then this raised bed, you can see, like, I pieced it together, and this was a no-no. Like, when you piece it together, you can't do that. It just expanded out, and I thought it would work, and it didn't. So, I mean, look at him. He can't even walk down the row. So he's forced to get on the raised bed, and that's bad. Hey, get out of the raised bed. Hey, go, get out. Get out. So when you're doing things in your garden, I try to do it friendly for me and Crypto. Or Crypto and I, however you want to say it. So, and then the one thing I did like about the wood versus this, and you can still do it, is I drilled the holes for the PVCs to cover my raised beds during the winter, and this has worked out really good. You can still do it on the cement, but if it pushes too hard, it'll knock the brick over. So this year I'm going to cut a bunch of rebar and just hammer them right straight down. So anyway, this was the back garden. I was kind of going over some changes I had made back here. I'm really going back to the markets in like February, hopefully, and I'm really changing things to where I can grow enough food to sell out in the market and make it worth my time. So I'm changing things back here, making things more Dan Sprout garden friendly for me and my dog and my wife, you know. So trying to level things out and really make things. I was thinking about paving the rows, but then my dog has nowhere to go to the bathroom, and that's a bad thing. I'm just changing things and doing things, so I gotta keep weed eating and doing things. I thought about doing gravel, but I don't think he'll do number 2 on the gravel. So hopefully this was just a quick little update on how to change things and do things better, and I hope you like this. And then I'm going to do a whole garden walkthrough in another week, because I've got more plants coming, and I'm going to have everything planted in almost all the raised beds. All right, so make sure you like the video, subscribe, or you can dislike the video. Hopefully no one dislikes the video off the bat. I'll be like crushed. I'll be like, oh, I'm crying. Please don't do that. So just like the video, share it with all your friends, and peace. I'm out of here.